I want to talk about Bernie Sanders. One more thing regarding Bernie Sanders is he's been going back and forth with a couple people. So he was going at it with the Center for American Progress, who released a video about him, about how after he released his tax returns, it turned out that Bernie Sanders is actually a millionaire. With shock and awe, we're thrown back by the fact that Bernie Sanders might have $1 million. Okay, so everybody fucking flipped their wig and freaked out, and I can't believe this socialist ended up being a millionaire. Okay, so the hacks at the Center for American Progress, to be fair, it was Think Progress, which they claim is separate from Center for American Progress. They ended up releasing a video, and I'm going to show that to you. And they ended up releasing a video where they said, oh, look at this, Bernie Sanders is a millionaire, and he's got a millionaire problem or some shit. So, is this it? Yeah, Bernie's millionaire problems. If I remember correctly, it had a lot of downvotes on this. Here's the video.
If I'm a millionaire, or millionaires and billionaires. For billionaires and millionaires. For millionaires and billionaires.
Okay, this is just like a bunch of clips of Bernie Sanders, railing against millionaires and billionaires, but then there's a bunch of captions. So I'm going to pause and then read the captions to you. It says, for years, Bernie Sanders has been railing against...
If I'm a millionaire, or millionaires and billionaires. For billionaires and millionaires. For millionaires and billionaires.
Now, thanks to his noteworthy 2016 presidential run and royalties on his books, Sanders' finances have improved and his rhetoric has been slightly tweaked. Okay.
A proliferation of millionaires and billionaires. When millionaires and billionaires of millionaires and billionaires.
So now this shows a chart. It's showing a chart of Bernie Sanders' income starting from 2014.
Millionaires and billionaires, 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 millionaires and billionaires.
And it shows his income went up to $1 million. Starting from 2015, it started to go up to $1 million by 2016.
This is a budget of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, and for the billionaire class. More billionaires in his administration. Billionaires and the wealthiest people. Billionaires and the wealthy. A handful of billionaires and other billionaires. Billionaires allow billionaires, multi-millionaires, and billionaires. Of multi-millionaires and billionaires. If you are a billionaire or in the top 1%, we will be an administration for the working families of this country and not for billionaire campaign contributors.
And it says, see the change. Okay, so that's basically a smear. That's it. That's basically a smear video, and it just shows that his income spiked to $1 million in 2016, and then remained that way until 2017, and I guess it's still $1 million now. So, and by the way, the ratio of likes to dislikes of this video currently is 351 upvotes to 2,000 downvotes. So people caught wind of this thing, and they knew that it was bullshit. And they knew it was a fucking hacky video. It was a hacky way to go after him. Because as Bernie Sanders has pointed out before, this is like when it comes to the issue of millionaires and billionaires, he wants them to be taxed high. He wants himself to be taxed higher. He wants people like that to pay their fair share. He has paid his fair share. So it's not... like, okay, if Bernie Sanders is a millionaire or a billionaire, what difference does it make? He's going out there and saying that these millionaires and billionaires, including himself, needs to pay more more of his fair share of taxes. So what the hell? I don't understand what they're hating on him for. But that's the point. They're reaching as usual. They're trying to find something against him because they can't find nothing else. So they have to make some hacky bullshit videos and put out some articles. So anyway, Bernie Sanders responded to this, and he went after the Center for American Progress. They came back after him, and they said, basically the same thing that I said before, that they claimed that the Center for American Progress is separate from Think Progress. So the Think Progress that released this video, it's not the same thing. These are different people. We didn't basically saying Neera Tanden, the head of CAP, basically said, this had nothing to do with us. Who believes that? I mean, come on. The rhetoric that these hacky arguments that they're using against him is the same shit that they were using before, was the same shit that they were in 2016. The same kind of stuff as far as kind of just grasping at straws and just making things up. But and just pretending as if Bernie is some sort of elitist, some sort of elitist douchebag when he's not, or he's some compared just like in 2016 when they were pretending he was like a racist, sexist, whatever he was, and whatever they were saying. But they were just making all these bullshit arguments, and Bernie, got angry and he lashed out at them, rightfully so, and he called them out and he said, "This is bullshit. Like you can't, this is not something that. I mean, this is not true at all. I'm coming out I'm coming out in favor of higher taxes. I'm coming out in favor of pushing for whatever millionaire is out there, and I'm not, how am I a hypocrite just because I made $1 million on top of the fact that my book sold a lot of I had a lot of books that I sold, so I don't know what was the name of his book? Something Revolution, Bernie's Revolution or something. And I sold this book and I got a lot of attention for it. So I'm, naturally I'm going to make a lot of money. What is he supposed to do? Was he supposed to give away that money? Was he supposed to give it to somebody? I mean, I guess he could give it to charity. I heard he gave a little bit of that to charity. He probably could have given more, but that's besides the point. He is not going, it's not like he's screwing over, the people of, the people of the United States like the rest of these other billionaires, millionaires, and billionaires are. So Bernie Sanders, being smeared by the, by the Center for American Progress and, kind of like their affiliate, Think Progress and stuff. It's, that's kind of like, I don't know if they were doing that back in 2016, but, the difference between this time and that time is that Bernie is actually responding directly to them, and he was calling out Think Progress he was calling them out for their funding because, so as far as, well, obviously Think Progress is owned and run by Center for American Progress. Center for American Progress receives funding from like dictatorial regimes like UAE and whatnot, the United Arab Emirates and whatnot. So he was calling them out for that, and he was saying that, this is not the kind of organization that anybody can trust, and it's people that are taking these attacks against me, and in this case against him, of course, they're taking it literally. You're trusting an organization that you're buying the propaganda from an organization that is funded by very shady type countries or entities. And he's absolutely right. And the fact that people don't see that, it's kind of weird, because these days, it was the same case with back in 2016, people they didn't know about the institutional kind of underlyings of how everything is influenced by money, how everything is influenced by these kind of big corporation stuff. So, Barack Obama would, President Obama, he would rail against, Citizens United is really, really bad, and the money in politics is bad, but he never did anything about it, and Democrats to this day, these days, I would say Democrats are just as bad as Republicans when it comes to the issue of money in politics, and they're sold out just as much as they are. And the only people really talking out against that would be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, obviously Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard. I believe Ilhan Omar has done the same. So these are things that you're hearing from people that nobody else wants to say, even Democrats, fellow Democrats in that case, the fellow Democrats of Bernie Sanders, of AOC, of Ilhan Omar. And it's just, it's weird because you would think these people that because the Democrats always claim they believe in democracy. They're Democrats. They have that word in there, democracy, Democrat, whatever you want to, word it. But they claim to be in favor of democracy, but they really don't give a shit, And, it's really kind of weird when you have these outfits like the Center for American Progress, which, to their credit, I don't know, I would say maybe 10 years ago, roughly, they were decent. They were very, very decent back in the day when they were going after George W. Bush, as a lot of people were. When people were going, when they were going out, they were railing against George Bush. That was those are the glory days of kind of like the blogosphere, really coming out against the establishment. But nowadays, nobody wants to do that no more. The only people that are coming out against the establishment are the people that support Bernie Sanders, that support AOC, that support, Tulsi Gabbard, Mike Gravel, and all those, those kind of people, and it's really, really disappointing to see Democrats, Nancy Pelosi is one of the biggest sellouts in the Democratic Party, and that's the only reason, in my opinion, is the only reason why she's the speaker. Because she sells out the most, and you know what? She'll admit that. She just admits it out. She just doesn't admit it in the same kind of way I do, or in the same. She doesn't word it the same kind of way I do. She just says, "Well, I'm the best. I'm a great or grand or wonderful fundraiser. I'm a big fundraiser for the Democratic Party. I'm a excellent fundraiser for the party." Yeah, okay. It's really easy to be a fundraiser, but who are you fundraising from? If you're fundraising from a bunch of millionaires and billionaires, as Bernie says, using that terminology, that's if you're fundraising from those people as they do, then you're doing the things that the Republicans are already doing, but you're just putting a mask of oh, don't worry, like the case with Biden and being like a sexual kind of person, a groper and stuff, oh, because it's a Democrat, don't worry, he's fine. It's fine because it's coming from Democrats compared to coming from Republicans, and and that's a good point by Daniel, saying that the Center for American Progress was founded with legitimate good intent, but then got corrupted over time. That's absolutely true. I mean, they were, I don't know, not sure. I think the initial founder was, I'm sure it was John Podesta. But again, that was at the time that Podesta was doing that. He was going against the Republicans and Bush, and then now, they've gotten in bed with those people essentially. But when it comes to the kind of fundraising that takes place within the Democratic Party, it's just as bad as Republicans, and nobody's willing to call it out unless you're actual progressive. And those same people that do that kind of corrupt fundraising, they like to call themselves progressive, and they are not at all, not even close. So it's total hackery, total bullshit. I don't buy any of it. Anybody that fucking buys into that stuff is just you're a fool. You're a puppet, essentially. You're a puppet for those loyalist Democratic Party establishment, corrupt, corporatists and corrupt type politicians.